My name's James Fraser. I'm the Group Executive for Operations and Digital at PPS, and these views are mine and not necessarily those of PPS. So sustainability for me is the ability to keep on doing the things that you need to do, not depleting your resources, whether they be time or people or energy, and being able to keep that momentum going. And digital transformation, it can be a complex word, and there are different definitions out there. What I would say is it's beyond digitization, which is turning paper things into screens and online things. Transformation goes beyond that, and it goes into transforming the way you work, people's behaviors, processes, operating models. So it's changing everything, not just turning it from paper to a digital version. Data is the most critical part of digital transformation. It is the truth. If you don't have great data, you can't automate things. You can't use artificial intelligence. Again, data is a key part of being able to embed artificial intelligence into your processes and to use it, because what goes in needs to be accurate. Otherwise, you're going to get nonsense coming out of the other side. So it's critical to have a comprehensive data strategy. And again, big words, but it basically means that we need to get to the data captured up front as far as possible, so there's less chance for manual intervention, humans getting involved and miscapturing. And it also enables you to capture and test the data to make sure it's valid before you use it. Sure, and it's a challenge, because reports, they can be very long. They can be, they're trying to focus on many different things: financials, governance, innovations, transformation. But for me, the way to make it engaging and useful is to be interactive and more real time. So that's what we also need to look at in terms of digital transformation. It needs to move away from being a big piece of paper or report on a table, or just a plain PDF document. You need to get engagement. Otherwise, there's no point in actually writing the report. People won't read it. It'll be scary. It'll have big words in. We need to make it more engaging going forward. It's actually hard to think ahead 5 years because things are changing so fast. But if I look at the changes that are coming through more recently with artificial intelligence, you'll end up having a conversation with something. It might look like a somebody, but it's more likely to be a something. And that something will know huge amounts about you as an individual. And therefore that ability to get hyper-personalized, to know you as a person, to know what you want to hear about from the report, your relationship with PPS, whether you're more biased towards financial things or into sustainability things. The thing that you engage with will know all of that from the data it's gathered, from interacting with PPS, but also from everywhere. All your engagements are becoming more and more digital going forward. And it'll basically be your personal concierge who knows everything about you and will basically have a relationship with you. Yeah, I think that's where the next stage of AI, and specifically data, is going to go to. Each individual needs to own their own data and be able to determine who gets access to it and how they get access to it and where else it can be shared. And that's, I think, what we struggle with at the moment. The big platforms like they just use your data, and although it has been tightening up, they can use it for many things. Going forward, each individual needs to own their own data, and then we'll be able to share it with the relevant parties and be in full control of their data. And once that's in place, then that scariness goes away. But everyone should be careful around what they share in public and social media, because it can be picked up anyway. It's not just about the artificial intelligence. It can be done today. If you're applying for a job, they will generally check out your socials and see what's been going on. So you need to be careful with the data. Sure, big question. There's a few parts to that. So maybe I'll go with the sustainability part first, because I think that is reasonably well understood. The amount of energy that is required for the AI data centers at the moment. Each of the big AI players, whether it be or with these data centers, or they are spending billions building these big data centers that need energy, they need cooling. And is that sustainable going forward? And we need to think of ways to power that going forward in a more sustainable way. Then in terms of the pace of change, I think the pace of change is going to continue increasing and increasing. There's a Parkinson's law, which basically talks to the speed of processing doubling every 18 months to 2 years. And obviously when something doubles, it's like, it just compounds over time, which means it gets faster and faster and faster. So that will keep going. Obviously there are concerns around at what point does the intelligence get more intelligent than a human being? Will they take over the world? But by then, I believe we'll have the right controls in place to make sure that the humans remain in control. It's a balancing act, as you say. You need to decide where you're going to innovate, because that basically leads to change. You need to manage that change to get the effectiveness coming out. As PPS as a business, I believe at the moment we can benefit more at the moment from efficiencies. There's some good efficiencies we can create in the business by using digital transformation, artificial intelligence. So I think a lot of our focus, let's give a split, 60-70% of our time is going into that, just to build a good, consistent experience for our members and intermediaries. Then we are looking to the future, what's going to happen in a year's time, 3 years' time, and that's where the innovation comes in. How are we actually going to change the model completely? Because otherwise it is just making the existing thing faster. So for example, we are experimenting with artificial intelligence, we're experimenting with body and facial scanning to see how that can help us with our processes, and that would be an innovative step. But in an insurance world, which is quite conservative and risk-based, we need to test those thoroughly, because we're making decisions now when we underwrite somebody, then the claim may only come in 10, 20, 30 years' time. So we need to make sure we are 100% confident with those innovations that we make. I think this has been happening throughout history, where technologies come along and change the way that we work. Yes, some roles will fall away, but brand new roles are created. You didn't have a data scientist a few years ago. You didn't have an AI prompt agent a few years ago. So for me, that human element remains there. Technology, going back to the efficiency question, talks to taking away all the grind, the admin, that enables the people to focus on relationships, which for me is the key part of being a mutual, but also being an organization that services clients. We need to build those relationships, and if we can create more capacity for that by automating and using technology to take away the admin and the grind and make the process smoother, then I think it's a win-win relationship for the human and the technology. So for me, the drive is to create capacity in my team to focus on relationships instead of data capture. It talks to capturing the data real time. So one of the challenges that business has is that not everything is in a system currently. There are spreadsheets, there are things that are written down. You need to get tax opinions, and there are some things that only happen on an annual basis, that like actuarial adjustments or other things that only happen on that basis. So the more that you can capture that upfront in a system, which talks to digital transformation, the more you can give that real-time reporting. So there are a number of areas in the business where the data is real-time. But from an accounting perspective, you need to consolidate all of that, and that's the complexity. But we're getting there. We've got systems in place to capture things more real-time and give our members more real-time feedback. Again, 5 to 10 years. The speed of change at the moment is so much; it's hard to imagine. But if I had to give it our best guess, the technology-human relationship. There's a name, a human in the loop. The technology would have taken away the grind and the admin, the data capture, and it would have enabled the business to build those personal relationships. So although you might have an AI agent talking and resolving queries and questions, the basics. For the more complicated or challenging topics like a claim, we'll have more specialist people who are supported by the technology to give better service to our members and intermediaries. So I just see that the role of the humans in the business will be more around relationships and empathy, and less around the data and process side of things. I think it's actually more around the change management side of things. Again, with things moving so fast, with change coming through so fast, how do you keep everybody involved and following that change? Often with digital transformation, people think of the cool tech and the latest brand that's coming out. But the hardest part of digital transformation is getting the people in the process, the users of the system, our members and our intermediaries, to actually make the change. So we will build and deliver solutions that we believe are going to make a big difference. And our members and intermediaries have told us we want this. But then to get people to use it has been a big challenge. So I wish people had helped me understand that actually it's the people part that's the hardest. And we need to spend more time engaging on that.